He picks hit songs to play on the radio. He also brought us a beer from a band called Low Cash that we made ourselves.
Okay.
Reid from 102.5 KNIX joins us on the Brewmance podcast today. The beer, Mike,
guys?
is what?
This is okay. Let's back this up. Reid, in the radio station down the hall from us here at iHeart, came into our studio with a Mr. Beer kit. You've all seen a Mr. Beer kit. And he said, look, one of the labels sent us this, one of the bands sent us this to celebrate their new song or introduce their new song, Beers to Catch Up On. And he said, do you guys want to brew this thing? And we said, that's a great idea. Let's brew it, and then we'll have you on the podcast, and we'll talk about it. So today will be our first tasting of the Mr. Beer Pale Ale brought to us by Low Cash. I swear we have not opened a bottle yet, but one has been opened. So here's why I am I've set the bar very low for this tasting, because I brought a cup here to put over the bottle while I open it, because I don't know what's going to happen once that happens either. When I was bringing the beers in for you guys yesterday, I put them in a cooler bag, and I set it down by my bag, went and got ready, came back out, and there's beer all over the bench by the door and the floor. No. And I'm like, oh no. Woo! And I reach in, and there's one of them that apparently wasn't sealed right when I was bottling, and I take full responsibility on that. And but I did give it a little and I was like, ooh, this is interesting. But it was flat because it wasn't sealed right. So I don't know if these were sealed right. I don't know. I did my best. I did my best. So here we go. I don't know. Let's jump into our first set of Low Cash Beers to Catch Up on Pale Ale.
Again, this is something Mike and I made after Reid gave us the kit. We went over to Mike's house and we made the beer. It was very easy, actually. It was a super simple process.
Which I'm worried about.
Well, that's going to be the big key here is this process too simple? Because it basically all the contents were in one bag. We poured it in some hot water, and that was that. And Mike's making a very interesting face, and so is Reid. If you want to watch along in the video.
It's not bad. It's not good, but it's not bad.
It's pale ale-ish. Like
pale ale-esque. Ish.
I'd give it an ish.
Official terminology here on the Brewmance for the Low Cash. Do it at home. Not bad. Not
Low
great.
Cash, this
somewhere in the middle.
Low Cash. This is definitely not worthy of your song Beers to Catch Up On. It is and it's in the culpability pie. The biggest slice belongs to me, I think, as I was holding on to most of the process after initial brewing. So it's okay. I'm gonna try it again. You discuss amongst yourself.
Yeah, I actually don't mind it. I mean, we'll do a full review for you later on at the end of the podcast, but I don't mind it. It's easy to drink. It doesn't have a ton of bitterness notes. So it's designed to be a simple beer to make at home. It's not designed to compete with the craft brewing process, which is much more convoluted and scientific than this. This is a basic one-step process. So I'm going to grade it on that scale. On a one-step process, you pour our contents into hot water, leave it in a container. Not bad.
No, I mean, look, they sent it to me. I mean, don't trust me to make this. That's why I brought it to you. I was like, I'm really going to mess this up. So, I knew you guys had this. I'm like, you guys are the beer guys in the building. I should bring this to you. And if anybody had a chance of it turning out really good, it was you guys. So
we appreciate that kind of confidence, and we're proud that you set the bar. That you set the bar that low for us. I absolutely love that too. Pours a little darker than I thought it would, and it is definitely maltier than I thought it was going to be. Yep. So maybe my expectations were just set a little wrong. So I'm going to keep sipping it as we chat, and we do have backup beers just in case. So we are good. And Reid did bring those for us. And these, what are we doing here? This is the Mai Tai IPA, the mango IPA.
Oh, you get the mango, from Alvarado Street.
Yes, Alvarado Street Brewery.
California?
It is in California, correct.
Salinas, California. I have the Mai Tai IPA that Mike was talking about.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Maybe we'll bust those out a little bit later in the show, see how it goes. So Reid, catch us up.
Another record person sent me that. So another record person who swears by it.
So is that something
you have in your business? You have people sending you things. We just have people sending us nasty grams on social media and telling us that our opinions suck. That's really what we get most of the time. But on the Brewmance, we occasionally get some of the beer sent to us.
Nice.
But you have record albums, you have labels saying, please send us, play us.
Yeah. Rob, you were saying something.
Yeah, was that the deal during COVID? Was it like, okay, we can't come visit you? Because normally you guys would have record company executives or whatever, people that push the records. They'll come and they'll hang out with you and they'll play the record and you talk about it and you go to lunch. So instead, they couldn't do that during COVID. They were like, let's get creative. Let's send everybody booze.
Well, I was just talking to Mike about this before you came on. That's kind of how it happened. Like, you're right. Normally they would come by the radio station and they would perform there at the radio station, or we'd see them at a concert or something like that. But in this case, no one went anywhere. So they would send, Drizzly, or you'd go pick it up at Total Wine or something, and you would come back and have like a happy hour with whoever that new artist was. So they would put them on, a Zoom with a handful of people, mostly people within our company right here in our region on the West Coast. And, they'd play a few songs and you get to hang out and really kind of get to know people. And it's like a weird way to break bread and have that cocktail that you would normally have in person. But, obviously I'm looking forward to having that in person now. So.
And you are the program director for KNIX.
Assistant program director.
Okay.
But yes.
So that means you do all the work.
Yeah, more or less, a lot of stuff that comes down throughout the day. It all comes across my desk and I, delegate it across to whoever that may be. Our boss, Steve, is over all the radio stations in the building. I know you two know him very well. So, I like to think his view is like 10,000 feet. My view is like 5,000 feet. So whatever happens on this radio station is my responsibility. And I take it on and make sure it's done.
So let's go a little bit behind the scenes on that. So when you talk about that, what does that mean? So are you picking the songs that play on KNIX?
Yes, there are 3 of us that are part of that decision. It's me, it's Steve, and then there's a woman named Double L, or Lois Lewis. She's on middays on KNIX, and she actually does afternoon drive on our other station, Mix 96.9. But we sit in a room every Tuesday and we go through the playlist on the radio station and we make those determinations on what we should play more, what we should play less. Hey, this, we're getting a lot of requests for this song, or, the streaming numbers, because we look at all of these points of data. I mean, not to get too nerdy about it, but, we can see what's happening on Spotify and Apple Music and all of these streaming services. And those are really good indicators for songs that are up and coming. These are songs that should be added to the playlist, and we can get so granular and look at Phoenix as a metro and to see what's big here in Phoenix. And then we make those determinations with a bunch of different data points and a little bit of it's gut too. You do this long enough that you kind of, a hit when you hear it. And, sometimes you take a few chances on things.
Now I have to dig into that because I'm tone deaf. So, but I do absolutely love music, but I can't, so many people are saying, there's so many similarities between all hit songs. There's certain basic elements between all hit songs. I can't hear it. I can't find that commonality because I have an eclectic taste in music. How do you hear? What are you listening for? Put the Matrix aside because you haven't always had that in your career. You haven't always had the streaming and all of that. Before that happened, how did you hear? What did you hear in a song you thought, yes, that's a hit, and then that could be, but my gut says it's going to be, and I'm going to move forward with it?
I think for someone like me, it's if the song gets stuck in my head, I think that's a great indicator of a song that could be a hit. Like I'm married, I have a wife, I'll play it for my wife. If she hears it and it gets stuck in her head, or she, says a few days later, I really thought about that song you played. And it's kind of that. At the end of the day, it's got to be a really good song. I mean, we all listen to music. Rob, I know, is a huge music head. That stuff gets stuck in your head, and I think that, melodies and just singability are things that really resonate. And look, at the end of the day, all of the songs that are the biggest songs in the world are songs that people are singing along to, or I guess in this case in 2021 want to do a TikTok to or something like that. So.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting question, because does that change the game? Because the way that music is, and this is Reid, he is the assistant program director. He's also on the afternoons, 102.5 KNIX, the country station here in Phoenix, Arizona. That's a good reset. We call that a reset in the business.
Well
that's
done.
Giving you a little bit of radio background here if you're listening on the podcast for us.
Absolutely. Cash to that, buddy.
How much has changed in the last couple of years with the advent and the implementation of TikTok? Is it that songs are changing with that, or you just have to try to, loop those things together to see if you can catch the wave that the TikTokers are doing?
It's interesting. In country, it hasn't really hit us too much. Like, there's a few songs that kind of resonate through because of just the emotional value. There's a new artist named LV Shane, and he's got a song called My Boy, and it's really just about he's a stepdad, and he's like, he might not be my blood, but he's my boy. And a lot of that on TikTok were people who were in that position, men and obviously stepmoms who would come into that, and they obviously care for their significant other's child, and it's an emotional thing. I think further down the hall on KISS FM, that is the bread and butter of every single thing that they do right now. TikTok is running the pop music world in a sense that, you're getting millions of views on a song that may have come out of nowhere, and all of a sudden, that format is all about having your finger on the pulse of the biggest things in the world right now. So it's really driving that. But I think it will eventually echo into country music too.
So let's talk about that, though. Let's talk about the songs that are just garbage. And I do get picky about songs, but I always have to remind myself. Like, every time I hear a Bon Jovi song, I have to remind myself that they sold more albums than I have, so I can't say that they suck. I just have to say I don't prefer that music, and I'm not going to listen to that. So what even on TikTok, like, let's say that the market is just driving a song. As an assistant program director and someone who's you're part of the triad that picks the songs that will make it to this award-winning station here in Phoenix, Arizona, and it's just awful. Do you still have to put it on? Or can you just say, I refuse? No, we can't. It's crap.
I like to think that it's not up to me. I'm 1/3 of the decision, and there are 3 of us. But at the end of the day, the audience, we call them the KNIX family. They are the people who decide the songs that we play on this radio station. If I may not personally like a song, but if they love it, it's going to go on the radio station. And, going back to metrics and things like that, you're going to see it there. If a song is top 10 in Phoenix and it's streaming and people are buying it on however they're buying music, like that warrants a hit, and that warrants attention regardless of your personal feeling.
Yeah, and that's super interesting too, because you have to separate your emotion. I'm like, I hate this song, but it's banging in the clubs right now. You're like, okay, fine. It is what it is. Is there a formula? Because Mike asked this. Is there something you kind of look for? Because I always think that you have to have a good chorus. Speaking of Bon Jovi, I was listening to an interview with him, and he says he parroted the Beatles. And if you notice, a lot of the Beatles songs, they start with the chorus because they want you to remember the chorus. So Bon Jovi said in an interview, I think he was quoting Paul McCartney, don't bore us, get to the chorus. Because most of us can sing along to choruses, but it's those middle verses we know 3 words of. So how do you look for that chorus feel, Reid, before you're picking those songs?
I think to me, it goes back to, the singable part of the song, because even if you're just driving in your car and you're hearing it, song is 3 minutes. So you're hearing just a small section. That singable part, we call it the hook. Like, that's the part that you're really, it's called a hook because it's just going to hook you.
Yeah.
And that's the part that gets stuck in your head. And, we even look through that stuff. We put new songs on our own Instagram. And as we're doing that, we're looking for that part that is going to resonate with somebody, whether it's emotion, whether it's the singability of it, all that stuff goes into that. And look, a hit song is determined on how much it gets stuck in somebody's head.
Okay, let's ask just popped in just because of what you said. If I were to play 2 notes of a song on an Instagram anything, I get shut down. Facebook shuts it down, whole nine. Does the station, can you do that? Can you put songs on your social media and not get pinched by the man?
It depends. Instagram has a music feature built in, so that's how we use that.
Okay.
It's the same situation though for Facebook and all of the others. I mean, it's you know, we're all flagged by publishing rights and things like that. So we don't have the clearance for that unless, it's something coming directly from an artist. Like we've done things like that from Luke Combs is probably the biggest country artist out right now. And he did a live stream of the very last show he did in February of last year. He did this about 3 months ago, and he got rights to run that entire thing back on Facebook. So we shared that on ours. But as far as on our level, Instagram is really the only one. I mean, I guess TikTok, but it's got to have that music aspect built into it.
It almost kind of it becomes like sampling, because they think that if you put something on your Instagram story, you have like a 10-second clip that they'll let you play. It's kind of like what hip hop does. Like you can take a certain sample of a song without having to pay a ton of royalties. I think Instagram and TikTok kind of use that same model, where they're okay, if you're not playing too much of the song, 30 seconds, because I think there's a rule with podcasts too, where if you play 30 seconds of a song, you're in violation. If you play 29, you're under the radar. So when we were doing the Sound Surfers podcast, we were playing a lot of music, but we were only playing clips of songs because that was what the law is. So it's just kind of interesting to navigate all those rules as you go along too, because it's so much more than just an over-the-air broadcast now, because we have a streaming app, we have connectivity with Instagram and Facebook, and that's what we see change in this industry. And you can see, obviously, Reid, that it impacts you guys too, because you have so many more tools available to try to reach people. Because it used to be, and I don't know if you were a part of this, you'd put people in a stadium or something like that. Not a stadium, not a full stadium, but like a
auditorium
room. Yeah, and you'd do research. Were you ever a part of that?
I wasn't, but we still do those kinds of things. It's all done over the internet now.
Yeah.
But people sign up to be a part of that, that group that helps weigh their opinion on the music that we play on radio stations. So that's just, again, we talk about tools. That's just another tool that we have in that toolkit to kind of compare and contrast song to song.
Now let's talk about awards, because I don't know if you know this. Rob Hunter and I are both award-winning journalists. Lowercase J, of course, but we are award-winning journalists nonetheless. We have won regional Moro Awards, which means a station paid some money for us to win an award one time. I don't even think either of us have even seen the awards. I know I haven't. Now, 102.5 KNIX, which you are the assistant program director for, has won Big Boy Awards. Like, you guys are stacking up awards and Grammys and things. How much does that mean to you, and what's that process like? And just, you're like, I want a Grammy. Like, I am running a Grammy-winning radio station, and that should be something you're super, super proud of. A lot much more so than Rob and I and our little regional kind of awards.
I'm pretty humble about it. I see myself as just a piece of the puzzle. We have a staff that is just completely dedicated to this radio station and to the people that listen. Like I said, everything at this radio station revolves around family. So even getting an award like that, like ACM award, obviously, I'm sure you're referring to the one a couple weeks ago. But yeah, we won Major Market Station of the Year, and then Double L, who I was talking about, who is also our music director, she won Personality of the Year.
Dang.
So it's very rare for a station to double up on that. But, I think it all goes back to the stuff that we do for the people that listen. We're there to connect with them. I mean, I know so many listeners by name, and if I see them at a show or something like that, like, we have our own relationship outside of what's on the air. Social media has really helped that. But at the end of the day, we're a radio station of 7 people who care about the people here in Phoenix, Arizona, and we'll do whatever we need to do, whether it's, fundraising for a fallen officer or raising water and stuff for, firefighters because they're out there working in the, 120-degree summer, or, the whole month of November, we're collecting meals for St. Vincent de Paul Food Bank. Everything is community based, and everything we do, we think about the people that listen to the radio station. So to me, it's while we may have been the ones that get the trophy, it's still their award. It's the award to the listeners as well.
Humility on this man is
Yeah.
unbelievable.
You
I mean,
kidding me? I
this is a
threw a
big
party
deal.
when we won our little award. I threw a whole family got together and threw a party. I didn't even know what it was. Like I won something. Let's have a barbecue.
I mean, I like that too.
Yeah, it's all good, baby. It's all good. So what does your day look like? So, as an assistant program director, you mentioned that on Tuesdays you sit down, you kind of look at music. What do you do at a radio station? So you have an on-air shift. So walk us through a day in the life of Reid.
Well, it changes day to day, which is part of the reason why I love it so much. It's a long day. I might get up at, 6:30, 7. I'll listen to our morning show, Tim Ben and Brooke, and, take notes on things if notes need to be taken, so I can share those with their producer or share those with Steve, our boss. From there, it transitions into, returning calls to record labels and people like that. That's a lot of the middle of the week. And then by the time 1 o'clock rolls around, I'm there in the building with you guys and getting ready for my show. And since the pandemic, I've been on till 9 o'clock. So it's a little bit longer shift for me. But yeah, honestly, for me, it's anything that needs to be done, I handle it. And in between there, it's, making imaging, the things that run between all of our songs. It's writing that stuff. It's sending that out to our voiceover talent. It's talking with the people in our sales department about promotions that are coming up. Concerts are being announced. There's seems to be like one a week, which is super exciting after the last year. And so a lot of that is talking with the promotions department too about how are we going to execute concert giveaways and every single thing that that all the boxes that we need to check. So by the end of the day, it's probably, I don't know, 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. But
Man,
I feel like when you sign up for the assistant program director role, a lot of that comes with a 365 24/7 kind of thing. And the radio station goes off the air in the middle of the night.
guess who gets a call?
Yeah, my
Reid's
phone blows
back in the
up.
building
I'm
at
the
3
one that wakes
a.m.
up and walks into this room and figures it out. So, it's I'm always so complimentary about it, but it is such a privilege to work for this station and love the team that we have. So it's like my dad always said, love what you do, and you'll never work a day in your life. And I believe that. I believe that here.
Some days of work, you got to be honest. Some days when you get that
work,
3 a.m. wake call, probably like, oh, this is work.
it's at this point, it's like it's part of the job. There are people that, everybody has things that they don't like about some things they do. I mean, my wife bakes cakes out of our home, and there's things I'm sure she doesn't like. But at the end of the day, I think if the goods outweigh the bads, then it's awesome.
We're going to read right now from 102.5 KNIX, and we are drinking Beers to Catch Up on Low Cash IPA. It was made by yours truly and Rob Hunter, and it's all right. We made it with a Mr. Beer kit that Reid brought us, and once again, Low Cash, the beer is not indicative of what a great song you have put out. So I want to move on because we did know Reid pre-beard. And if you're watching the video, that's a long time ago. Like, you know how far you go back with someone if they have a beard like this and you knew them before they had this kind of a beard. Rob and I, obviously, both bearded men, but not to this extent. What in the world? Just what was the one day? Was it your wife saying, you need to have a ZZ Top style beard like stat, like make it happen? Or did you just say, honey, this is what I'm going in at?
It's funny you say that because when we met, my wife and I mean, we've been together for 10 years. I didn't have a beard. It wasn't something that I had ever thought I was going to have. Like, I would shave all the time. And it was probably about the time we moved here to Phoenix about 6 years ago. And she was like, maybe you just shouldn't shave completely. Like, 5 o'clock shadow is fine. And when I moved to this station 3 years ago, I thought, you know what? Let me just see if I can grow a beard. We have a double L. We talk about her. She's got purple hair. I'm a pretty average guy. normally. So I was like, you know what? Let me see if I can grow a beard, and at least the beard would be memorable to some people. And it's actually like it's become something I am like super proud of, and I like geek out over beard things. Like I tried some new mustache wax the other day, and
Ooh.
it was like it was too strong of a hold. And like I had to like scrub it out, and I was like, okay, this is getting a little crazy.
It's like hair gel in your
Yeah.
mustache.
They're looking like Raleigh finger.
Yeah, it adds like an extra 10 minutes to, when you get out of the shower, but I don't know. I went to see my parents over the weekend, and they were like, my mom just hates it and can't deal with it. And I was like, look, I'm sorry, but it's going to be around for a while. Like,
Yeah, I mean, that's an investment you got going, both in time and money. Like I have this, my mom's the same way. I have this little scruffy thing going on. That's just because I really hate to shave, and she hates it. My mom absolutely hates my beard going on. I just think mom's just like that clean little baby face. It reminds them of when you're a little baby. I think
well, I
that's
used
what
to
it
get
is.
like, speaking of shaving, like I'd get bad razor burn, and that was the one thing I really hated about shaving was that. And I mean, at this point, I've just thrown it all out the door. But yeah, I don't, like I said, you guys knew me before, but I don't know that I'm ever going back. And it's hilarious because
Nice.
there are people who can't imagine me without it now,
Yeah.
and they see a picture without it, and they're like, "That's not you."
You have a beard. You have a mask in the time of COVID. You have a mask that actually compensates for the beard. It's one of the most impressive things I've seen because I rock the bandito because I make fun of the whole thing. But yours is actually a beard mask. It's glorious.
I got tired of you got to go in Target or you got to go in Walmart or something like that, and you put a mask on and you take it off and you get like the dent right here.
The beard
Oh,
dent.
yeah.
I call it like beard hat hair, and you get that, and then like, but obviously because of social media and your phone's probably hearing whatever you're saying, like it popped up this beard company. It's called the Beard Tarp, and I was like, okay, I don't know if this is real or not, so let me research it and make sure it's an actual thing. It was an actual thing. And I, no joke, bought one, loved it, bought another one. And it's like changed the game.
That's legit. But see, that's the thing. There's a solution for everything. That's why I love America, because we come up with a solution for everything. So you have a beard, you have a beard hat head, and you're like, nope, we got a solution for you. And it is. Reid's mask just like sits over his whole entire beard, and it covers it. It's like, do they have various links, Reid, for beard size?
Yeah, I have the smaller one. They actually have one that's longer. It comes down to here. And I was getting on the plane because you gotta wear one to get on a plane. And some guy, an older guy with a beard, was like, "Hey, like, where'd you get that? Like, I am so tired of this." I was like, it has the website on the side of it, and he took a picture of it, and he's like, "I am getting one tomorrow."
Nice.
Order right now on the plane before you take off.
Yeah, why not?
Because my wife is actually encouraging for the beard. She wants me to grow one like yours. She goes, I just want to see how just far you can get that thing going. And I got to tell you, I can't get past the point where I lay my head on my pillow and it starts to like scruff up and bunch up. I just can't. For me, that's it. I wake up in the middle of the damn night. Don't care. I will trim this thing right away and go right back to it. I don't know how you wake up in the morning with this mass coming off of your face. It's probably going 9 ways a Sunday and go, yep, I got this.
It's so weird. Everyone asks that, like, does it itch or do you know? Like, I don't, unless the wind blows, I don't think I notice it. I mean, maybe eating hot wings or something because like, this is just a pain when you're trying to eat hot wings or anything. You just got to prepare with extra napkins. But I would say to you, like, are you just letting it grow, or are you trying to put like oil or anything in it to help that out?
I was doing that at one time. I was like conditioning it and doing that at the beard oil, and I really was doing that. But I'm telling you, and all during the day it was fine. Didn't even bother me. Didn't care as long as God didn't care. Just when I put my head on that pillow and I'm a side sleeper, I'm like, nope. Just go trim it.
It's so weird. I don't even think I notice it in here. Like I said, when the wind blows and it like goes like this, like, that's a weird feeling. I don't know that I notice it beyond, but again, it's like it's been a year and a half at this point. So
yeah.
But you also have commitment to the mustache. Yeah, you do get used to, because I mean, mine is it's a very trim beard. I tried to grow the long beard once. It was like great. I think every man should do it once.
It was fantastic. Don't undersell that, dude. Rob had a mad beard, and the thing was cool looking. It really was.
Look, came in red. Yeah.
Ooh.
Fantastic.
But you have the mustache.
Fire red.
It was. It totally is. And it, like, the longer it got, the more red it got. But, you know, my wife, Amy, was like, well, no. But she likes this. She's like, keep that. That's good. Keep it nice. And so everybody, that's what's funny. It's like everybody's got a different beard game. And beards are kind of the thing right now. There's a lot of dudes rocking beards. So, like my dad, he's 73. He has a mustache. He's had a mustache, I think, since he joined the military and they allowed facial hair. I think 1969 was the year he grew a mustache. He hasn't not had one since. And he's done different variations. So he'll never not have a mustache. But that was a thing, like, from my dad's era. Our thing is the full beard. And it's like a lot of dudes like Reid. But your mustache game, like, your mustache it goes over your lips.
It does.
That's impressive.
It's interesting you say that. My dad, actually, when I was young, had a killer mustache. And like shaved it off at some point and refuses to grow it back. But it looks so cool. Yeah, actually, it's weird you say this as I'm looking in the camera. Like, I need to trim it, and this is the part my wife hates, because as
going
it
in
gets
for the
longer,
smooch,
it starts like, poking her in the face when you go to kiss her goodbye or something. Yeah. But I tried to do the handlebar thing, and that's why I was trying that wax, and I just I don't think I have the patience for it, to be honest with you, because it's a whole thing with a hair dryer to get it set up, and then it's a whole other thing to get it out, because it holds so hard. You know, the hold is so strong. You almost have to put beard oil back on it to break it up and then wash it off. And I was like, I don't want to deal with that.
I don't blame you.
Yeah,
I keep my hair as short as it is because I don't like dealing with hair. I don't like it.
I wear a hat all the time.
Pain. Yeah. But you've just taken the hair and just put it in a different place on your head, and now you have to address it with hair dryers and whatnot.
I know. I laugh. I see Rob all the time with his hair done up, and he's got that nice head of hair, and I'm like, I'll fix this, but I refuse to fix this unless I absolutely have to. So, I just grab a hat and throw a hat on.
Mm-hmm. But that's a game. It's a hobby. It's kind of cool. It's something to get in, like running craft beer and outdoors and any of that kind of stuff. It is a hobby. It really is a hobby.
It is. It's people. Everyone has a question. I had so many questions when I wanted to grow a beard. Like, how do you get it to stop itching? Or like, it kind of stalls and looks awkward. Like, does it ever go further than that? And it's a nice icebreaker with people now. They say something about the beard, and then it goes on from there. But yeah, I think, find the hobby that you can. I mean, we all work a lot, so it's good to have those little side things that you can, kind of nerd out on.
So speaking of, what do you do outside of maintaining your beard and outside of working about 12 to 13 to 14 to 15 hours a day? What does Reid from 102.5 KNIX, what do you do? What do you and the wife do? I know you mentioned she bakes cakes. She's an amazing person, an amazing baker. What do you guys do? What do you do for fun?
Well, we have 3 dogs. So that takes up a lot of our time. They're all sleeping at my feet, but yeah.
And quiet. Impressive.
2 or 4, 1 is 8. So it's a lot of time with the dogs. It's a lot of food. We're big food people, so we like to go, try something new. And then since the last year, we've become very big coffee people.
That's it.
And I mean, I can't find enough coffee at this point. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm just like you guys are with beer. And you can taste all. It's funny, as we were opening this and talking about this, I thought, you guys talk about the coffee like I would talk to somebody, or you guys talk to, you know what I'm saying? You guys talk about the beer like I would talk to somebody about the coffee. And it's like, ooh, but like, this is a little bit too berry for me, or this one has more chocolate on it. Coffee's become the real thing for me.
What's the go-to? What are you drinking right now?
Right now it's an espresso, because I had to go crazy and get an espresso machine. It's an espresso from a place that literally just closed like 2 weeks ago. It's a place down here at the Queen Creek Olive Mill. It was called Superstition Coffee, and their coffee is phenomenal. And they closed because they just wanted to enjoy their retirement. So
Yeah.
I, no joke, went and bought as much of the coffee as I could, and ask me in maybe like 2 months when I've run out, and then I got to figure out what else I'm gonna have. But yeah, their Veneto's blend is what it's called. I mean, sadly, you can't get it anymore because they closed. But
Man.
great coffee from there. And then there's a good one that we get from my wife's hometown in Alabama. That's like a butter pecan coffee.
Ooh.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's
Exactly.
that deep.
Yeah. It's
And I'm
very.
not-
I mean,
Yeah, I'm not a guy that snobs out on. I'm sorry that knocks people for snobbing out on coffee, because I love coffee, love coffee. I didn't know, because I'm a cold brew guy and I like different types of cold brew, but cold brew less acidic for me. It's just better. It's more comfortable drinking for me. I'm a big fan of it. I didn't know we were going that deep where we're going to talk about this is very berry. I know a chocolatey, I can get that, but then the flavor you just mentioned from your wife's hometown, what was that?
it's like a butter pecan.
Butter pecan.
Like,
how do you do that with a coffee bean?
I really like. I don't know for sure. I would like to go and see. I think they roast the beans and throw pecans in there to roast with the beans. But I also think they, no joke, just throw some butter on top. Because
Okay.
like it's very
Southern
like,
thing,
the beans
man.
are very oily, and
Oh.
I think they just put butter on it. Really, I mean, it's the South. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Put
normal.
butter on everything.
Yeah,
Why not?
everything.
Mm.
We have a friend who's actually a congressman who actually roasts his own.
Ooh.
Who gets it? He's got it down in the backyard. He's got his little system down where he's actually roasting his very own. So he's found his own blend that he thinks is the best, and he's sticking with it.
I mean, that is like key. Like, you're roasting your own, man. That's like that. That's the dream. If I'm being honest, that's the dream. Roasting coffee on the weekends, radio during the week. I like that.
Dreams, baby. That's it. So
Yeah.
we know where you're going in the future. He's going to be not only hosting your afternoon show, putting all your music on 102.5 KNIX, he's going to be roasting your coffee real soon. Maybe that's an adventure that you and the wife could get into. Maybe you should offer to buy Superstition Coffee and you could run it.
It's funny. When I found out they were closing, I looked at her and I go, I mean, this would be perfect, but neither of us have the time to dedicate to it. So I was like, we got to let this one go. But don't think I didn't think about it, because like I listen, I don't know how I'll find the money. We all work in radio. You know how that works. But I'm like,
it's not as glamorous the paycheck as you think.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, we're all driving Lamborghinis.
Myself to something, it would be this.
Very cool.
I have a question about that, though. Are they selling any of the equipment?
Well, here's the thing. Someone else from Tempe came into that space already.
Oh.
So I don't know if they're using the same equipment or if they brought theirs. I mean, if you've ever been to the Olive Mill, you know that place is slammed all the time. So very high traffic area. Obviously, great spot to have a coffee place. So yeah, there's someone else already in this spot now.
Yeah,
Different
you got to be
name,
quick.
But
yeah,
say
you
what?
got to be quick with things like that.
I know.
Yeah, there was a place in the West Valley. There was an indoor golf place. You go play. It was blast. The place was awesome. They had these stalls of indoor golf, and we had a ton of fun. And come to find out that they were part of a multi-state poker gambling ring.
Whoa!
So they got taken down. They closed. And my buddies and I were like, okay, we'll each buy one of these units. I want to have it in my garage. Like this, we want to, because obviously they're out of business. They're going to get this. We're waiting for the going out of business sale. We rolled up one day and it was just all ATF and feds and everyone. I'm like, I don't think we're getting any of that.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Wow.
That's not happening.
You got to move quick.
Yeah, quickly.
Let's go back and I want to, because typical radio careers, you have to move a lot.
Yeah.
Is that something you've had to do as well? So, I mean, I think this is my fifth state. So we live in Arizona, the three of us. This is my fifth state. So walk us through the career, the radio career, the nomads that we are in radio.
Well, I wasn't supposed to do this. Like, this isn't what I wanted to do. Not even anything I thought about. I actually wanted to go write for a magazine. I wanted to write for Car and Driver. Like, grew up in a body shop, like hot rodding and stuff like that. Like, that's what I wanted to do. And I was going to college for it, and I needed an internship. And this radio station, it's the radio station I listened to growing up as a kid. And I was like, well, they have an internship in their promotions department. Fine. Took the job, day one, I was like, well, this is what I want to do. And then
Wow.
6 months later was the first time they put me on the air for something. It was just like a break with, she was the program director at the time. And I walked out of the studio and I go, well, that's what I want to do. Um, and, fast forward probably a year as an intern, then an unpaid intern, and then a part-timer. I got my shot to do my first like solo night show in Mobile, Alabama, and I went down there
Nice.
and loved it. It's the home of Mardi Gras. Fun fact: not New Orleans. Mobile's the home of Mardi Gras, and
I
so
did not know
celebrated
that.
Mardi Gras. Met my wife. From there, moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, and then to Savannah, Georgia for like a quick 9 months, and then here. So
Wow.
quick, but a lot of learning experiences on the way. And of course, during that, picked up, how to be a music director and how to be an assistant program director. And in Savannah, I was the program director for 9 months. So everything fell on my shoulders. And all those lessons kind of led me to being here in Phoenix.
And orchestrating an ACM winning radio station. So it's pretty dang cool, man. I mean, that's a quick rise. And it goes to show to what a student that you are, because we're talking about your career in music. We talked about your beard game and how you just wanted to learn and how you had so many questions. And we talked about the coffee too and how you're diving into that. I kind of see a pattern here, Reid, is that you are a student of life and a student of what you are passionate about. And that's one damn impressive trait.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I like to think I never give anything half. I try to give it as much as I can. So,
Including a beard.
Including the beard, it's even if it's a sport that I like or something, like I'll go all in and like completely nerd out on it. So,
what sport are you nerding out on?
Right now it's Formula One racing, all because of this Netflix documentary called Drive to Survive. There's 3 seasons.
Yep.
And I am in. Like I am all in on watching races on Sundays for like 2 hours. Like I'm having conversations about, who I think's gonna, ultimately win later on in the season and who's developing. And it's a whole thing. It's a new thing. I mean, I grew up a college basketball kind of guy. Like I lived in North Carolina. I went to the University of North Carolina. I mean, you can't go there unless it's ingrained in you that you love college basketball. And it's weird. I haven't ever really been a fan of NASCAR, even though I lived on the East Coast. But for whatever reason, it's like the drama off the track and the personalities involved really sucked me in. And then, the sporting aspects of it, like you said, I kind of just dive into whatever I can dive into, both feet.
That's the way to go, because it makes life more pleasurable that way. When you're like, all right, I like this. Let me learn more about it. Let me dive in. I want to go back to the traveling and the radio, because
Sure.
I think one of the biggest things that I did in my life was move away from my hometown. So I moved from Massachusetts to Florida, and then ended up where I get my first radio gig outside of my college station. And that's like that journey of life. It's like, oh, this is where I kind of developed as my own human being. So for me, that's what the moving meant, to eventually find my own home here in Phoenix, which I love. So walk me through yours too. And if someone were to ask you, what is the benefit of moving from North Carolina to Mobile, Alabama to Savannah, Georgia? What did I miss in between? Out to Phoenix, Arizona. You saw a good section of the country and you got to interact with all kinds of different people. What would you say to someone that asked you about what that experience was like?
Like, I think that it gave me access to like culture that I hadn't seen before. Like the Gulf Coast is very different from the East Coast where I grew up. I agree with you, Rob. I think that leaving home at 23, probably a little late for the radio world, but leaving home at 23, and really the crazy thing was I had a really good job working for an inbound call center and hated it. Like just hated it. Like I would go to work, I would get off work, and I would go to the radio station and be an unpaid intern till like 2 a.m. And I'd go home and I'd sleep for a few hours and I'd go back to this crappy job that I didn't like. And like leaving all of that to go be this radio guy and not make any money, but live by myself with no really safety net around me was a very learning experience to who I am as a person. And it forces you to meet other people and build that little family and your little friend group wherever you're at. And I mean, obviously it worked out really good in the end, because 6 months before I left Mobile, I met my wife, and she moved with me to the next place, and we've been together since. And that's a learning experience when you only know someone for 6 months and they agree to move in with you to a brand new city, and you only have each other, like
Yeah.
you only have each other to kind of lean on and have all of those experiences with. And um, same with Savannah. I think, hand in hand with who I am as a person, I needed that in Mobile to know who I was. And then, get some partying out of me too. Let's just be honest. I was a
True.
night guy. All my friends were bar managers, speaking of beer.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you're right. It's a huge personal growth, and all of those, experiences, failures in some, dropping the ball on some things, they teach you those lessons. And in a way, it's like weird osmosis, but you pick up things, over that career. You absorb things from the people around you, and you make some connections too. Steve, who is my boss now, I worked for him in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh,
And so ultimately that's how I ended up here in Phoenix, was that connection that I had with Steve.
see, I didn't get to do all that. I was absolutely dumb enough at 34, 33, 34 years old to look at my real estate partner and say, hey, let's try to get into radio. And we just went at it. We called this guy, this local guy here. He was a producer. And we said, look, we'll take you to Smashburger. And we just want to ask you how to get into radio. This guy's name was Rob Hunter. And now 13 years later, we're doing an afternoon drive show together here in Market 13. So I have a cool story, but it's not like I didn't get to go cool places. I mean, I'm from Southern California. That's kind of a cool place, but I'm here. This is where I want to be. Don't want to ever leave, but I don't want radio to take me anywhere else. I love it here. And I feel pretty lucky that that's where I got to stay right here. And especially with this Slappy that's on this, on the screen right now.
I think I think you have to enjoy the chase a little bit. Because look, there's opportunities. I mean, I could have stayed in Raleigh if I wanted to. It may have taken a little bit longer to get to where I am, but all of those decisions that you make along the way, they, another road shoots off of that. I mean, I would say, Mike, you have more experience here, outdoors things and things like that. Those are all things that, I never got to. I mean, listen, I grew up on the Gulf Coast, or not grew up, but lived on the Gulf Coast, and I maybe went to the beach a couple of times. Like, you have all of those experiences that differ from that moving around. And I mean, listen, no one wants to move around. Can I tell you what it's like to drive a U-Haul from Charlotte to Savannah? That is the worst.
Man, I did it. Here's my U-Haul story. So I lived in New Orleans during Katrina, and I stayed because that's what you do. You're a radio broadcaster. You stay, you do Katrina, and then boom, the radio station basically. So how radio stations work is we have big time equipment. So we have radio station towers that broadcast your signal and transmitters that transmit the signal. So both our transmitter and tower were destroyed during Katrina. So after all the smoke settles, it was like, well, you don't have a job because we don't know how long it's going to take to rebuild the station. So I'm like, okay, so I guess I got to move out of New Orleans. So my wife, her company transferred her to Atlanta. So we're living in Atlanta. So we have to rent a U-Haul, but the nearest one in New Orleans we could find was somewhere in Alabama. So we have to drive to Alabama, pick up a U-Haul, and it's the biggest U-Haul you could get.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a rental car. So I take the U-Haul. We put the little rental car on the back. So this is like a 26-foot U-Haul with the, 18-foot car, and I'm driving that into New Orleans. We pack the U-Haul up. We leave New Orleans at 10 o'clock at night to drive to her parents' house in Florida, 8 hours away in a car, 10 hours overnight in a U-Haul with a rental car on the back. It was a terrifying experience.
Oh my God!
Don't do that. Pay someone to move you.
Yeah, take out a loan. Do something.
Yes.
Get a credit card. Yeah.
Exactly. It was And you think you're young. I'm like 27 years old. I'm like, oh, I can do this. So it's me and my buddy Shane, who I worked with, carrying all this heavy crap down the stairs on the third floor of our apartment, loading it up. So I understand the U-Haul game quite a bit. But now I'm like, I'm done with that. I'm too old. I'm just going to pay whatever it costs for someone to move me. But I don't plan on moving anymore either. I'm good.
No, my wife and I used to joke, like, we knew exactly how to load the furniture that we had in our apartment into the U-Haul. Like, you knew exactly which way to pivot the couch. You knew all of the things to get it into so it would all fit. And you're right, the biggest U-Haul you could get, we knew how to make that happen. And when we lived in Georgia and I knew we were coming out here, I was like, there is no way. There's no way I'm driving a U-Haul and somehow bringing 2 cars and at that point just 1 dog all the way out here. So you're right. I bit the bullet and I'm like, you know what? Someone come get this stuff. We drove 1 car out, which was just a killer road trip to go from Georgia here. And then my wife flew back and then she drove her car out with one of our dogs and I met them in Houston and drove the rest of the way. Yeah, no U-Hauls ever again, ever.
Nope, out of it. But
I
want to
don't care
go.
how much I have to pay after the fact. I'm not doing it.
It's worth it. Every penny that you spend on a mover, especially the longer the move, the more worth it absolutely is. So there's our advice for you. And I'm going to go back to Mike's story too, because Mike did the radio story. He got pinged around quite a bit in his career. Weekends, filling in, coming in at 5 a.m. to do a show. And then he was like, here's this opportunity. Nope, we're going to take that away from you. But he stuck it out. And that's the key to a radio career. So if anybody listening to this is interested in a radio career, you got to deal with rejection and you got to be okay with it. You got to deal with being ignored. You're going to apply for jobs you're never going to hear from. You're going to send in what we used to do is tapes, CDs. Now it's MP3 files with how you sound. And some people are never going to open that. You have to be okay with it. And you have to be okay, like working weekends, and you have to be okay with whatever you can get, but you have to hang in there long enough because that's how you learn the skills to be able to get to, in market 13, like the 3 of us all do, host an afternoon show.
It's go ahead, Mike.
No, I could say that after a year and how long have we been doing our afternoon show, buddy? Probably
a little over a year. Yeah.
Yeah.
March 9th, last year.
At the end of last year, I asked my kids, or after Christmas, I said, did you know something different about this year, aside of COVID and being locked down and all? But you know something different about Dad's job? And they both knew. They're like, you're here for holidays. You were here on the holidays, because that's many years of me just having to fill in for every host that was gone on vacation and the holidays and this and that. I mean, it is, and I think the word it keeps popping up when Rob was saying that is grind. You've got to grind. You have Absolutely. To get. There's no other way to do it but to grind.
And you're right. Everything is a grind. Like I said, I would leave the crappy job and I would go to, the radio station and I wouldn't get paid for it. And I just sit there and, like even to this day, I thank my stars for that guy. It's an article on the wall right here because it was back when they had radio magazines. They wrote about it because this radio station was just turning out people that could go do full-time jobs because the jocks at the time invested their time into people who just wanted to do this. Like it's, at the end of the day, in what you guys do and what I do, it's still our responsibility to bring on that next batch of people. And it's a grind and, it's not for everybody, but if you're right, if you can stick it out, it pays dividends in the future.
But doesn't pay a lot at the beginning, and yet that's another thing you got to keep in mind.
It doesn't pay a lot most of the time, if you're being honest.
No.
At my beginning, I was not only paying for airtime, I was pulling nights at Home Depot to pay bills and pay for that airtime as well. So yeah, it started with paying to do it, then doing it for free, and then getting a little bit of pay to do it, and then getting real pay. So yeah, it takes a bit.
Like I said, I think the fun and the cool experiences and the people you get to talk to outweigh all of the meh stuff about it,
Yeah, the hours can be grind, as Reid had described at the very beginning. He's up at 6:30. He's listening to his station, taking notes, presenting them to the morning show. Then he comes into work at 1 and he stays till 9. So it's a grind, no question about it, even though we're this far in our careers. But, I don't think any of us would have it any other way because that's the way to do it. Now, I want to ask you, though, before we get out of here, Reid, and before we actually let you go to work, What are some of those experiences you're talking about? Because you've got to hang out with some of the coolest country music artists that we all know and we all love. So who have you met? Who have you hung out with? And what is that like?
It's, it's interesting because country was not the first music format that I worked in. I worked for pop radio for many, many years. And, those are the biggest of the big in the world. Country is a little bit more of a family. And so you really get to get the real people, the one that always comes to mind, and it's not because of how he was to me, it was because of how he was to my wife, is Garth Brooks. Everybody knows who Garth Brooks is. He is to be the biggest star in the world.
Yeah.
He is the most down home person. And I got a chance to go to that show at Notre Dame. It's the very first concert they ever held inside Notre Dame Stadium.
Wow.
And it snowed and it was raining and it was cold, but he made you feel like you should be there and like you're special to even people, sitting out in the cold outside. I was in the middle of an interview with him, and he asked, well, who are you here with? And I said, my wife. And no, he stopped the interview, walked across the room, took his hat off, introduced himself to my wife, and like he's just a normal guy, and you get the real person, and he talks about real things. And I think, we go back to Low Cash, who sent this beer. One of the guys, Chris, he's the guy with the snapback on. He and I go back and forth sometimes on text over Star Wars. When Mandalorian came out, he's a huge Star Wars head, and we go back and forth over that stuff. And he just, you get the real version of people, and I think that's the coolest thing about country music is that you get, that version. You hang out with people, if their song goes number one, you might get a text from them just saying, hey man, thank you so much for the support. I really appreciate it. Can't wait to see you guys soon. It really is appreciative, and there's such a respect that goes both ways,
There's alarms going off in Rob's head right now going, please, Mike, don't talk about Star Wars. Please, Mike, don't talk about please, Mike, don't talk about Star Wars, because you had me at Star Wars. Now I love the beer. Now I love the beer that we make because it's Low Cash beer and there's a Star Wars element to it. So
but it's very different than what Mike and I do, because we deal in politics, which is mostly fake. So it's encouraging, pardon me for interrupting, Mike, that the country artists are real. And this is what I love about being a human being. We entertain ourselves. We entertain each other with our creativity, our art. And that's what music is. It's just people being able to take us to a different place. That's what makes this whole experience cool. And to be a part of it, whether you're Reid or whether you're Mike or whether you're me, or whether you're just listening to us right now and you get to listen to an amazing song that someone put together, that's someone's hard work that they put to elevate you or to entertain you or to make you think or to make you feel. That's what's cool about all of this. So I'm getting existential on y'all.
No, I love it.
It's a relationship, you guys have a relationship with your audience on KFYI. I have a relationship with our audience on KNIX. And, at the end of the day, there's some entertainment aspect to it. Yes. Cause it's the entertainment business, but at the end of the day, it's, being their escape from whatever they're doing, music is that escape. People who love country music, that's their escape. They want to sit down like we're doing now, and they want to sit down and have a beer and hear their favorite country song. Or, in the case, and we'll find out in August, we'll all go back to sing our favorite country artists on a stage. Like, they love live music, but it's a relationship at the end of the day. And I think that's that's what differs what we do from other people is you have that relationship. It's that because all three of us are on at the same time. When people are stuck on the 10 trying to get home, like you're the person in the passenger seat, or in your case, one of you is in the back seat. I don't know which one it is, but
that's me. Yeah.
Mike's in the back seat. Like, can we go any faster? Yeah, you're that person for them, and it's a relationship at the end of the day. So I agree with that.
Let's talk about this actual song. Let's talk about "Beers to Catch
Sure.
Up On" by Low Cash. I know you were a fan of it, so tell us about the first time you heard it. Was it with this this package that showed up with the Mr. Beer kit, or were you already playing it? Were you already sold on it?
Um, the way it kind of works in country is when someone releases an album, they'll have a radio single for that album. And then once that one moves on, they'll select another one based off of all the metrics we talked about earlier. And this was the second single off of that album. And they just said, "Oh, hey, they always like to let us know, hey, this is coming. This is what their next single is going to be." And um, actually, Low Cash were supposed to be, we do a barbecue fest in Chandler every year, and it got canceled, unfortunately. But they were on that lineup. And so that's why we had been having these conversations. But I thought it was a really good, when it came out, the song was perfect for what was happening at the time. This is, I don't know. I don't know where we are. I guess we're maybe we're at near the end of this. Who knows?
Hopefully.
Knock on
Who knows?
wood.
Yeah, right.
But this was in the middle of it. And, the song is really about, catching up with your friends and having a beer and sitting down. And I thought, man, this is so perfect for what everybody's going through right now. I mean, depending on who you are, you may have seen your family, you may not have. And it's got to be relatable at the end of the day. And like I said, emotions when it comes to a song sometimes are more important than what's actually being said. It's how you feel when you're listening to it. So I thought it was the perfect song for right now and where we are.
Well, I'm actually turning on to the beer now. The beer. At first, I had my
Emotions.
Star
expectations.
Wars, that's what it was.
Exactly. Emotions.
It
Suck you
was.
in.
No, it's actually just as craft beer does. It just, you have to let it dance. You have to let it sit on your palate for a little bit and tell you what it really is. Because my expectation just on the cover of the box was a Sierra Nevada kind of light-ish pale. This is a beefy, meaty kind of beer. And now the first sip, so I thought I did it wrong. But I don't think we did it wrong, Rob. I think we did it pretty good, and it's not a bad beer.
No, but that's an interesting lesson in of itself about preconceived notions, right? So you have an expectation about something, and you're already judging it. That's what a prejudgment is. So you're prejudicial in a way against the beer. Where the key, I think, even listening to the song, even in Reid's job, and even approaching a topic that Mike and I will talk about is, how do I put my preconceived notions aside and just let the beer do the talking for me? It's very difficult to do because we have all of our life's experience that come up for us, because that's what our brain does, to try to judge this beer ahead of time, rather than just like, let me just see if I can push that aside for a second and see. And as Mike has evolved through this, he's kind of come around on a whole different side over this hour-long conversation, which is pretty damn cool.
And a little bit equity into it too. I mean, we had how long has this taken? This has been a 9-week process, I think, or something like that. Yeah. And so I had some equity into it. Every time I had it hidden in the closet, they said a cool, dark place. And every time I saw it, I'd kind of tense up a little bit, going, man, I really hope this is going right. It seemed, as Rob said earlier, it seemed with the Mr. Beer program, like way too easy. Like, this is like, we skipped steps. We had to, because it was that easy. And then here we are. I think my whole mind was just racing around, and like Rob said, I had a bunch of preconceived notions, and
we all do. Yeah,
they've all been changed. So yeah, I'm a fan. Not bad. Now I'll take that back, Low Cash. We'd like to talk to you soon. Hope to meet you when you come out here. But this is not bad.
Reid, what do you think
about the beer?
Yeah.
I think, like I said, I'm more of a coffee guy than the full-on beer guy. I would drink. I mean, you guys gave me 2 bottles. I drink all 2 bottles. I mean, so
nice. There you go.
That's a lot being said. Tell you that there.
And if not, I'll tell you this, from the cooking side of me, from the grilling side of me, this would be a fantastic cooking beer. This would be an amazing cooking beer. As a matter of fact, I have a bottle at home that is going to be just for that. I mean, just doing either, if it's brats in it, or if you want to do a marinade with this thing. Wow, this would be a fantastic cooking beer too.
It's not hard to drink, the IPA that one of you has, I think it's the Mai Tai IPA. Great IPA just to drink along with. Not, it's got a little notes of fruit, but it's not too overwhelming if you're sensitive to hops, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. You said it was pale ale, and I took a drink of it, and I go, well, it could taste like pale ale to someone like me.
Right.
You know, Magic Hat #9 used to be like my college drink. And
Nice.
so it kind of like, I'm like, ooh, okay, that kind of took me back to there. I mean, it's an almost pale ale, I think.
Yeah,
Interesting.
You know how young Reid is, because our college beer was Rolling Rock. We thought we were the coolest dudes in the world because we were drinking something out of a green bottle. Yeah,
Please,
it
man,
used to be
that's Blue
weird.
Ribbon, okay.
Yeah, well, that was because it's from Vermont. Magic Hat #9. So I grew up in Massachusetts and went to college in Boston. So there was a couple people that would drink a Magic Hat #9. And I was like, what is this Magic Hat #9 craziness? Not a bad beer.
went in a green bottle. I didn't care.
Nope, exactly right. Well, you gotta start somewhere. You gotta start with a Rolling Rock or a Busch Light or a Mad Dog.
PBR, man.
PBR all day.
Mm-hmm. And thank you, Zach Brown, for reintroducing the world to PBR. I think that one song introduced a good portion of this nation to PBR.
Yeah, Toes.
Yep,
the song.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
okay.
Great song. Yeah.
Speaking of a good group, I mean, just a bunch of good dudes. You're talking about Low Cash. I mean, the Zach Brown, the whole group is just some good guys.
Yeah, really cool dudes. Obviously, all have. It's interesting if we're going to talk about Zach Brown Band. Before I grew my beard full, I asked them. I think this was January 2018.
Okay.
And I asked. I'm like, just how hard is it to get your beard like that? And they're like, you just got to let it grow. And so they were the catalyst to get me thinking about it. And then there was another country artist named Jordan Davis who was like, dude, just do it. Just do it.
Nice. I like Jordan Davis, actually. He's one of the I'm not a big country music fan, but Mike is introducing me to it. Yeah, he's got some really good songs. Mm-hmm. And Zach Brown Band has some really good songs. So
am I hearing the song wrong then? Is there Zach Brown song, You Gotta Let It Grow? Instead of You Gotta Let It Go? Maybe I'm hearing it wrong. Or maybe they were saying, maybe they wrote that song after they gave that advice to you. They're like, you know what? That's a really good piece of advice.
You need to get some royalties on that one, Reid. Get some royalties.
So. I'll take some of theirs, please.
Yes.
Yeah, they're doing okay. They're doing absolutely okay. Well, Reid, this has been a lot of fun. This beer actually not bad, especially given the ease in which you actually make it. So the amount of effort you put into this beer versus the reward is actually very high. Versus if you go to a craft brewer, the amount of work that they put in the beer is a lot different than this. It's hours, it's days, it's sitting in a tank, it's coming up with the formula. So your return on investment on the Mr. Beer Kit, Low Cash, very high, I would say. So is this my favorite beer of all time? No. But is it easy to drink? Absolutely.
Here's what you do with the Mr. Beer Kit. It's a good gift for somebody that you just want to hang out with for 3 days, because you're going to hang out just for the first initial brewing. You're going to hang out for bottling, and then you're going to hang out to try it and have a little maybe barbecue or something like that. I mean, I think it's a great gift to say, look, this isn't amazing craft beer, but it's something fun for you and I to do, and we can spend a few days on the calendar and make it happen. I think that's a really good way to do it. And the third day, bring in some friends and have some fun.
Good enough to drink the whole bottle.
Yeah, well,
that's what matters at the end of the day, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
So, Reid, leave us with a nugget. Leave us with something. I'm going to put you on the spot here. What do you want to leave us all with?
You can say let it grow. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say, if you love something, give it your all. Why not? If you're a fan of it, you want to know more about it, give it your all. Never know what's going to happen after the fact.
Good words to live by right there, because we don't know when our last day is going to be. None of us. Could be when we're 100, could be when we're 12, could be when we're somewhere in the middle.
Nobody gets up after alive.
Exactly right. Well, Reid, check him out, 102.5 KNIX. After you listen to Russell and Hunter, listen to Reid, because he's on till 9.
Okay. Yeah.
When you need some calm Zen sanity, go over to Reid when we're done.
Well, Reid, we appreciate it. You appreciate you thinking of us when you got the beer and bringing it in. We're glad we got to share it with you here on the Brewmance podcast.
Absolutely. It was fun, guys.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.